Now, let's move on to what is probably on the minds of a lot of people, which some found it very ridiculous when it first came out. Some believed it hook, line, and sinker. Some are still in that realm of disbelief, which is side by side the issue of cola. I'm just talking locally now. Bitter cola being a cure, and of course the almighty salt,
Right.
which obviously the price has skyrocketed. Hand sanitizers as low as 200 naira before, now as high as 700 naira. My wife, for example, went to a supermarket where there was literally a fight about to break out because of hand sanitizers. Now, how easy is it for people to be misinformed? In as much as you're trying to get the right information out, how easy is it?
So it's extremely easy because Ebola is not like malaria, for example, a disease that we've been living with for such a long time that we actually understand pretty well. This is a disease that flares up and has never been, has never occurred in Nigeria, at least to my knowledge, to this point. For example, the issue of salt. Apparently, it seems that when people who are in isolation get treated with oral rehydration salts or oral rehydration therapy.
Oral rehydration therapy,
which
okay.
is, water, remember your ORT, water, salt, sugar. So apparently someone saw that and basically decided to extrapolate that if you drink salt and water, that's when people who are in isolation get given oral tea, they say, oh, well, that must be the treatment for Ebola, and then somehow that got translated into this mass hysteria. And that's why it's so important to get the right information out there very quickly, so that people, when they have the right information, when they hear the wrong thing, they will be able to say, well, actually, that's not correct.
Okay, now, how effective in terms of Nigerians? Now, you're a doctor. I'm going to take it from the point of view that doctors have been asked to, for those on strike, been asked to come back to work. I'm taking a back seat from the point of view of a medical doctor who is trying to get by, and then this breaks out. How effective are you, or those in your profession, how effective will they be in carrying out their duties with respect to not just Ebola, but just generally?
I mean, so that's a difficult question. To be honest, I say this anyways, I haven't practiced in quite a while. As you did notice, I run a media company now. But obviously, there are quite a few issues on both sides of the discussion and the divide. Yes, we want to see doctors, back at work. At the same time, there is a challenge that, doctors are also pointing out that they need the equipment, especially in this particular case. All right, so they need the suits, and they need the protective gear. They need the equipment to be available to give clients proper care while being protected. Because the point is that once you start having the people who are most susceptible to Ebola, the people caring for people that are sick with Ebola. It's not, so the general population like you and I, as long as we don't come in contact with anyone who is visibly sick with Ebola, which is not likely to happen, we're not likely to get anything. The problem is if someone who say someone at home, for example, catches Ebola, then you're at risk. And of course, the other people are the people who are caring for those guys. So what they're saying is that, look, what I'm hearing a lot of them say is, even if you want us to get back to work, you need to give us the tools to be able to protect ourselves so that we can care for more than one patient, not care for one patient.
A very valid point.
Yes, it's absolutely valid.
Now, you've been on the road, so to speak. How has it been? Have you had any first-hand contact with those being infected or those that have been quarantined? Or what's the general response from your angle in terms of what you do?
Right, so what we're focusing on is working on education and advocacy, which is basically just getting information out there. So we haven't done a lot of work. There is another team that we work with and we find very interesting, Ebola Alert, the Ebola Alert team. Okay. And that team has worked very closely again with the government in terms of like treatments and logistics in taking care of the disease. That being said, and from the discussions that we've had, obviously there's been a lot of work. The Lagos State government, again, must be commended for the amount of work that they have put in trying to get, the right equipment and the right systems in place to contain this. And obviously now the federal government is stepping up to the plate and also, bringing their own resources to bear. So we hope that, we'll see a much stronger response in the coming days. Okay.
The issue of observation, the issue of symptoms, I personally, when I'm on radio, I've stressed this so many times every morning as to the symptoms to look out for. And one of the things I love about your website, that's ebolafacts.com, is that it's a simple illustration, infographics of of everything you need to know. Can we just run through what the symptoms are, how to protect yourself, and what role hygiene plays in all of this?
Right. All right. So the first thing to remember again is that you can catch Ebola 3 major ways. All right. So the first one is you are in contact with someone who is ill, with disease visibly ill. So say, for example, if someone in this room had contracted the virus but was not ill, that person is unlikely to infect all of us. All right. So most likely, so situations where that is likely to happen are, or you're caring for somebody at home is visibly ill, or you're in a hospital, you're working in a hospital, or in a place where so that's issue number 1. Number 2 is that in disposing of or handling or touching a body, all right, of someone who has had Ebola, that's a dead body of someone or an animal that has had Ebola or died from Ebola, that's also a risk factor. So what used to happen again is like places like Liberia, Sierra Leone, is that the person dies, and then when they are burying the person, that's when they now catch it.
Yeah, because I heard it's actually one of the cultures or tradition to wash the dead body before disposing.
And that washing aspect is kind of like where, you know, it now tends to spread. So you have to like get, and then obviously the third one is if you handle like meat that has been infected with disease, and the animals that are thought to be natural carriers of Ebola, fruit bats and monkeys. So that's why we say, you know, avoid bush meats, because of that.